All right, everybody, welcome to the very first episode of the Making a Mogul Podcast. I am your host, Bennie Smith Jr., and I think from now on, we're going to create a great relationship, and you're going to learn some cool things, and you're going to probably discover some things you never even knew about. But there are also going to be some things where you already know something, but you're going to enhance your ability to understand, but not only understand, to implement. So that's what this show, Making a Mogul, is all about, making you that mogul. So first of all, the question to come up, well, what is a mogul? Okay. Let me pull out my handy dandy phone. This is the informal version of it. An important or powerful person, especially in the motion picture or media industry. So when you think about mogul, you think about people like P. Diddy, think about Jay-Z, or Sean Carter. You think about people like Russell Simmons, but then also, you might think about Queen Latifah in her own right, Oprah Winfrey, women that are moguls as well in entertainment. But although media and entertainment is my background, which you will find out, that's probably where I first start hearing the word mogul probably. But in business moguls, people that actually killing it in business as well. You got some people that are great leaders and great just business people in general. Like, they know how to generate money. They know how to deal with people, and they definitely know how to keep business afloat and things afloat. So that's what we're going to be covering all on this show. This show is all about developing the mindset and the capabilities to withstand the pressures and everything about being an entrepreneur. So what is this show going to be about? It's going to be about business, finance, some real estate, personal development, and just more or less getting your mind ready and getting you prepared to make that action. Also, I want to hear about all the good stuff that people have been going through, not as a result from listening to me. Actually, yeah, if you had any dope stories, if I helped you in any type of way, I want to hear it. And I want you to call in, and I want to hear exactly how I've helped you with some of the knowledge, or even if I moved your furniture when I was out there hustling. I want to hear that too. Because everything is done in gratitude, because there are some very valuable lessons in even things like that, cutting grass and doing all, man, I just did a lot, man. So we ain't even finna get into all that, at least not right now. Eventually, we'll be bringing on guests to the show to talk about their entrepreneurship journey. So just be on the lookout for that. But right now, this show is about myself and who am I? How do you become a mogul? Or how could you even have the thoughts and ideals to become a mogul? Well, those are some of the things that we will be covering here today. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I'm going to try to keep it under an hour. I'm going to try to keep it under 45 minutes. Definitely when I'm talking about myself. Now, whenever we have guests on the show, they might go a little bit longer, but I'm going to just say an hour max. You will never hear anybody on here for more than an hour, okay? I don't even like sitting down talking for an hour, so hour max, everybody. Yeah. So today's topic is about being an entrepreneur, getting you ready to become an entrepreneur, taking your ideas from just a simple thought all the way to the completion. So I think this is going to be a good one, and I'm going to share a little bit of my journey, and that will intertwine with some other tips and tricks I've learned along the way. So sit back, relax, and listen to this. All right, so let me start off by telling you my story, okay, and how and why I'm qualified to be in this position to be talking to you, and hopefully you can learn a little bit of something. But anyway, I started off my entrepreneurship journey, I would say, in 2015. 2015 was when I first officially started my LLC, which is a limited liability company, for those that don't know. And we'll get more into that later on down the road on how you can create your own LLC in your state or any state. And you don't need LegalZoom. You don't need all the other. You can do it yourself in under an hour, okay? It's easy. But anyway, in 2015, I started my very first company. And that first company was called Brown Beans Consulting. I started that with a partner of mine. We were on the road producing a show, and we just decided that it was time to create something that we can, both use our expertise, knowledge, experience in order to make a living for ourselves. So we created Brown Beans Consulting, and that was an entertainment and media consulting company. That was in 2015. So let's take a step back. When did I first start wanting to do these entrepreneurship type things? Well, in college, I guess you can say I took a class called entrepreneurship I didn't even think it had an impact on me at all. I learned a little bit of stuff, but I really wasn't trying to be an entrepreneur. I really didn't know what I was going to be or trying to do in college. I was just there hanging out, and, certain things just snuck up on me. I started going to school first for physics. I ended up getting a communication degree, and that's two things on the opposite end of the spectrum, So you got physics and you got communication. And I would say the main reason why I got into communication is because of radio. Radio was very fun. I had an internship when I was in high school. That's what made me get into radio. I wanted to be an audio engineer or a civil engineer. And I ended up getting an internship at a very popular Fortune 500 company. And then I also had got an internship at the radio station. Since there were no studios in the city where I grew up at, the next best option was a radio station, in which I learned a whole lot from that. Actually, I learned a lot from both of them. But fast forward a little bit, in college, I started Red Flame Marketing. I was really into marketing. Marketing was my thing. I was worked for some record labels, doing the marketing campaigns. I did a lot of different marketing on the promotion side when it came to the college. I worked for Atlantic Records in college as an intern, in the Midwest as a college rep. So that taught me a lot about the promotional side of the music industry. I still didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do radio or some type of entertainment. I just didn't know what, but I wanted to be the guy in the front because I just had a natural ability to get up on stage, I guess, and really not be scared. That's just really it. Just get up on stage and don't be afraid to be myself. And that led to a lot. So just having the courage to do that, was pretty cool. But after a while, I ended up creating Red Flame Music Group. I had to create Red Flame Music Group because in Red Flame marketing, I was dealing a lot with managing an artist at that time. So I didn't want to send him music out as Red Flame Marketing. I didn't want to send his music out as Red Flame Marketing. I sent his music out as Red Flame Music. And that's how the record industry, the record label side of me was starting to get more developed. Because at that point, I just worked on the marketing side and just knew how to put together campaigns and how to do promotional marketing stunts and things like that. Just learned a whole lot about marketing just through the music industry. But when I had to become head of a label, it was just a little bit different because not only was I taking on a management role, I had to deal with an actual artist, And that's something I really didn't want to do as far as dealing with somebody's day to day, but it just made sense, right? Red Flame Music, Red Flame Marketing. I also used to plan parties. I was a DJ. Started off DJing when I was like 12 years old, doing the sound at the church. Then I just started DJing right after that and got my first pair of turntables, I don't know, somewhere around 16, 17 years old. But before I had turntables, I DJed my first party with a 5-disc CD changer and a DVD player. Like, it was a DVD player that my guy Carl, God rest his soul, he let me borrow his 5-disc CD changer or the DVD. He let me borrow one of them, and I had got a DJ mixer from my mentor, the guy who really gave me my first shot with everything. DJ Captain sold me some DJ mixer, some he ain't want, basically, and but it was allowed me to rock my first party, and it went over very well. I would say that because they paid me, and I ended up getting another gig. One thing led to another. I remember opening up for Kid Capri years later on the DJ side. So, I was really into that part of the music, the back end. I was a party planner and planned everything from small events all the way up to doing parties for celebrities at NBA All-Star Weekend, Super Bowl weekend, some private parties for like their birthdays, some house parties, things like that. So being involved with the small end parties to the larger scale parties, everything is pretty much the same, but people just spend a lot more money as you do bigger things. So that's where the term mogul come into play. I've DJ'd, I've, hosted parties and managed a record label, artist, got people on television. I was on television a couple times. Behind the scenes and some of the major productions that you see or have seen on television, not today, because things that I've done are not really being played unless you go on like a Hulu or something like that. You might catch some of that. Needless to say, throughout my entrepreneurship journey, there's been a lot of trials and tribulations because being an entrepreneur is not sweet. But I had to learn along the way to get to a point where I can actually handle being an entrepreneur. So first I had to get the internships. Then I had to work for somebody. And then I found out that's not the path I really wanted to go. So I had to create my own company. So all the work experience that I had, I've worked on behind the scenes on a lot of major productions. That's probably pretty much all I did as far as real jobs are concerned. I did have a job working at a place that counted items inside Family Dollar, Dollar General stores. That was one of the weirdest times of my life, but we'll get into that maybe in another episode. But I went around to different Dollar Generals and did inventory. It was kind of fun too, because it was just a different, I was just in a different headspace. But like I said, that's probably was the only non-music industry or media related job that I ever had in my life. In 2017, I decided to move back home and figure out what exactly I was supposed to do. And quite honestly, I didn't plan it like this. It just happened. So I did all these cool things, growing up. I did a lot of things people probably dream about doing. I've had a ton of great experiences. I have, a lot of cool stories about the media and entertainment industry, but now I'm doing something different. Now I moved back home, got away from media and entertainment. I threw my hands up. I'm like, I'm done. I am not doing this anymore. But when I get back into it, it's going to be my way. So I took about 5 years off all media, all entertainment to focus on real estate. Now I would call myself a real estate investor first before the media an entertainment thing now because real estate has a majority of my time, resources, and I guess involvement right now. The media thing is a very, very close second, but real estate to me is where it's at. Now I moved back home as a real estate investor, but I also own and operate a multimedia production studio called Suite 704. And, so we'll get into all that and how that all framed and shaped up a little later on. I don't want to really tell you that story from how I got from being in the media to going straight to real estate. Like those two things, like I didn't know anything about a house 10 years ago. I didn't even care about houses. Quite honestly, I don't even remember if I cared when I lived too much, because at one point I was in a 10,000 square foot mansion. The other times I slept in my car, so it's like, hey, I'm all the way there. I'm all the way there with it. So you got to do what you got to do to get your dreams accomplished, right? So with that being said, I've had some good successes and I had some failures, but I really just failed forward. And all those times that I failed or had some lessons that was learned, it gives me now the ability to come to you and just say, hey, look out for this, look out for that. These are some steps that I took in order to swim through all that turmoil. But sometimes I ain't swim. I got knocked on my butt and I just had to sit there and just drown in it, but eventually it's going to be a brighter day. Shout out to Kirk Franklin. Actually, Kirk Franklin was the very first famous person that I met. I interviewed him for an interview. Yeah, with the radio station. Two of my mentors that took me down there and had me meet Kirk Franklin and talk to him. So that was my very first taste of being that close to somebody famous. And it was very dope. So now I'm able to pour into you and hopefully reduce your learning curve as you go along your entrepreneurship journey, okay? Like I said, this very first episode is plainly about me, my journey, my story. It's a tad bit of it. I don't want to tell you too much of it because some stuff, statute of limitations, people might get a little salty. I ain't trying to, And so we got to, some of that stuff I ain't talking about, Some of that stuff I don't want to bring up either. Or some of that stuff, it might be too good. You might think I'm lying, I'm stunting. Nah, these are true stories, real life and real experiences. And also do yourselves a favor and follow Suite 704, THE Suite 704, okay? That's the studio. That's where you can come down here and produce your own podcast. I'm recording this podcast right now on a Shure SM7B. Okay, Michael Jackson recorded on the SM7s, right? So this is just a little turn-up version of what Michael Jackson had, the SM7Bs, vocal mics. There's 4 of them here at Suite 704. You can come here and literally bring your imagination and bring all your creativity. Sit down here and figure out how we can bring it to life. And that's what we're all about. Taking chances. Being an entrepreneur means you're taking chances. So without further ado, let's get right into this lesson. Now, what is an entrepreneur? How do you shape this mindset? What is business? And that's pretty much what you're going to learn today. What is an entrepreneur? What is business? And how do you develop that mindset? So what is an entrepreneur? A person who organizes and operates a business or businesses, taking on greater than normal financial risk in order to do so. Wow. So let's break that down a little bit. That says a lot. It's definitely like going out on a battlefield every single day, all day, trying to beat the enemy, which is probably laziness, which is not surrounding yourself by the right people, not wanting to learn and work on your craft, and also people doing bad business, procrastinating. A a lot of stuff, it's a battle. And then life outside of your business, that's a battle too. So, trying to be an entrepreneur in this day and age is definitely a lot of risk involved. But, you got to be built for it. So hopefully we going to get through this thing together. You encourage me, I encourage you, and that's how we all win. So what is an entrepreneur again? Entrepreneur is pretty much somebody that take risk in business. And the key word in that definition was business. What is business? Business is the exchange of goods, services, or money for mutual benefit or profit. So the goods. What is a good? Goods are things like a cell phone, microphone, desk, lipstick, hair weave. Those are goods. But the services are the things that might accompany or use those goods or help those goods move along. So like with the hair weave, a beautician, those are services that somebody, provide, hair care, that type of thing. That's a service. Cleaning up somebody's house is a service. Being that service and serving people, that's a service. So any service related jobs, you think about hospitality, you think about a hospital, that's a service. Being a mechanic, that's a service. And obviously money is money. And getting to it is not that hard, but keeping it is not so easy. All right. So we definitely need to dive into that a little bit more because a lot of people just don't have the financial education, even though financial literacy and things like that are very big. And they start to be buzzwords and hot topics in our communities. But still, at the end of the day, nobody is really practicing what they learn or what they think they want to learn within these financial literacy classes, courses, and everything else. Why? Quite frankly, you probably just don't have the interest, or you just don't have, that's really it. You don't really care about it that much. You should really care. Having your finances in order and having some money, like, you really need that. People say, oh, money is the root to all evil. I know we all done heard that plenty of times before. They say the love of money is a root to all evil. Like, if you just really love money and you really that's all you think about, money, and everything you do is on the basis of you making money, then that's kind of evil, because you'll do anything for some money. And trust and believe, I done seen a lot of people do things for money that, is really sad. They jeopardize their character because they just want to get paid. And then when all the money is gone, it'd be a long, sad day when you in that room by yourself, shivering and crying. Don't do everything for that cash. It's not worth it, So money is important, but don't let it be that important. So yeah, it's plenty of it out here, and I'm gonna show you how to get to it, though. I mean, don't worry. Even this, a little seed can turn into a massive oak tree. So just keep that in mind. Start where you at right now, and you'll be off to a great start. Business is the exchange of goods, services, and money to receive a profit. That's business, and that's all it is. So if you have a good service, people going to shop with you all the time, or they're going to request that service. If you have some goods and products that people actually like, that can make their life easier, make them feel a certain type of way about themselves, all those reasons why people buy things that trigger us to buy things. If you can provide a product or a good as far as, something meaningful in their particular lives, they're going to buy it. And they'll spend whatever money they have to in order to get these things from you. So that's the business side of it. But in order for you to be a good entrepreneur, a good business person, you have to first have the mindset in order to be that. And you might say, Benny, what do you mean I have to have the mindset? You have to be thinking a certain type of way if you want to be an entrepreneur. You have to be serious about your craft. You have to be serious about your service and product. But not only that, the most successful entrepreneurs see the end game. They're playing for the long haul because they already see it happen. They already have a vision on where they want to go. 9 times out of 10, they get there. Why? Because they have a plan, and that plan mixed with a little bit of grit, perseverance, savviness, and all the great things that come along and the bad things that go on along with it. This is the only part of the show I didn't prepare for, was the mindset part of it. Because I wanted to kind of really go off the mind, go off the top on this topic. You got to be able to persevere, okay? I just said that word once time before. You got to know how to stick with something. You can't be defeated. Don't allow yourself to be defeated, get down on yourself, and something go wrong. You think it was going to go right. Like you expected 100 people to show up, but only 6 people showed up, and 2 of them was your family members. I mean, in those type of times, like you have to know when to dig deep and keep going. Whenever you have a sold out show or sold out your product, you had a good launch. And even when you had the bad launches, like you have to be able to keep going, and you learn a lot of lessons whenever you fail or if you win. Everything is a learning lesson. Everything is preparing you for that next step. So therefore, pay attention to those times when you lose as well, and pay attention to how you feel when you're going through those things, because while you're going through the process, monitor your feelings and see how you react to certain things. Because if you get too tied into something and things start stressing you out, or if something goes wrong and you just fly off the handle and get very mad, or if somebody do something and really crush you and hurt your feelings, and you stop and want to shut down and not do anything for weeks or months on end because you're thinking about one time and one situation, you have to be able to keep going in those times when you feel like you're at your lowest point. So being able to persevere through it all, that's one quality that you have to be in order to be a great entrepreneur. Also, you have to study and educate yourself. There's no way around it. There's no excuse nowadays for you not to be on your A game, because we have, even at the minimum, we have YouTube, which is free, and all you got to do is pay your phone bill. And if you can't afford your phone bill, you can go to any public library and get on some Wi-Fi. Like you can literally get on Wi-Fi pretty much everywhere for free. So there's no excuse when it comes to educating yourself. Then we have some community college. We have, major universities, wherever you can get this information, but you can always go to your local public library where it's completely free, and you can just walk right on in there, grab some books, get on the internet, and literally learn everything that you need to know as far as the education piece of it. But, you got to go deep and get some experience and things like that. But you definitely want to learn through listening to podcasts. That's another way of, getting some more education, because everybody don't want to read. Everybody don't want to sit and read at. I know I didn't for a very long time. I used to read everything I read. I went to sleep as I was reading it. And I started thinking about all kind of other stuff, which made me read the same page like 5 and 6 times because I had no clue what I just read. I'm just reading straight through it, right? So I know how it is. Now I just love books. Now I'm really into books. And that's just a way I feel like I can just keep growing and get knowledge, and from people who are not even here no more to people who are here, things you can put in the books that'll help you grow. So that's one thing we should probably do as well. I think everybody is have a book club just to share some ideas, some of the things that we're reading, and how we can apply that to our everyday lives. So if anybody want to join a book club or start a book club or help start a book club or whatever, I'll be down for that. Just send me your good trusty DM or something like that, and just get in touch with me and make sure you mention book club in that message. We're moving right along. So not only like perseverance, you got to have, you got to make sure you're educated. You also have to, and this is probably a hard one for some people. You might have to cut yourself off from certain people. You know, we grow up with friends from our neighborhood or from our church or from our place of business or job or wherever. We come across these people in our lives and, you know, we develop these relationships with them. A lot of times those people don't stay in our lives forever. And that's okay. You know, we can't be afraid to cut people off, and we can't be afraid to let certain people go that let you out of their life. You don't have to hold on to people. You don't have to hold on to the past. Like, let it go. It's okay. Like, just move around, you know, soak in that a little bit. If somebody did you wrong, or if you feel like you moving at a faster pace than somebody and they not really moving along your path, like you trying to elevate and they're trying to stay at a certain level, like it's okay to move on. Just move around. Like there's no need for you to be hanging on to people, hanging on a dead weight that's gonna make sure that you elevate. Okay. So, but it's just the way it is, right? If you're the sum total of the 5 people that you hang around with, or you might have heard birds of a feather flock together. You hear things like spirits rub off on each other, energy attracts, you know. You hear all these things. That's true. Once you start hanging around a certain group of people, you tend to act like them, talk like them in certain types of ways, certain mannerisms. You'll get like them just because naturally you've been around them. They're rubbing off on you. That's just the way you communicate and the way you behave. Human nature, right? So why not trying to be around 5 people who are in a certain type of elevated position than where you are right now? Don't you know how much that'll affect your life in 5 years? If in 5 years you hung around 5 billionaires, right? Starting tomorrow, right? If you just go look up, you can't look this up because you're not going to be able to find like 5 billionaires and where they're hanging out at the specific time. You're not going to find that. But what I'm saying is this. I'm gonna show you a real estate play onto how you probably could network your way into the billionaire situation though. If you hung around 5 millionaires, let's just say that it's easy to find millionaires, right? So if you're hanging around 5 millionaires on a day-to-day basis, where would you be in 5 years? More than likely, you're gonna probably be the 6th millionaire because you own what they own. And quite honestly, when people got money like that, when people are comfortable with the finances, they're comfortable within their own, their own skin, whatever, they don't hate on you at all. Sometimes they get nicer and they want to give because they understand that it's about giving. It's not about hating on nobody at all. So that's another mindset to have as an entrepreneur, is to give. You have to give, whether it's to your local charity, a church, give information. If you don't have money, give some information, give something that's free, give your time, give your service away. If it makes sense, give your service away if you're doing business with that particular service. But, we're here to serve. It's good to serve people. The more people like you, the more they're going to want to do business with you. And typically a lot of times that comes from serving, doing something for somebody. So that way they always will remember you, okay? But my entrepreneur tips, that's pretty much it. I don't even have a bullet point where it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I wish I did, but just throughout the time in all these episodes, you're going to see where I just have some, it'll get more polished and all that as we go on. But quite honestly, what made me do this podcast, especially today, I've been thinking about this podcast. I'm thinking about doing a podcast for so many years now. And I said, okay, I'm going to wait until I get a particular microphone. I'm going to wait till I get a particular camera. Or I'm going to make sure I get a backdrop first. make sure I get this. I kept always putting it off until this. I talked myself into actually recording this inside of a studio right now that I own, which is very dope. But I got it now. It's like I got the access to all the equipment, regardless on at what stage it is. I have access to all the equipment. I'm making do from what I have right now. And this was prompted by a friend of mine who made a post on Instagram, and it said, "Don't let time go by waiting on your time," in quotation marks, your time. People, sometimes we don't even know when our time is. We don't even know what's going to happen the next second. Like while you're listening to this podcast, something great can happen to you just as quick as something that you won't even believe could happen to you, on the other side. So we don't know what's going to happen. So it's best to do those things that you actually want to do now instead of waiting and then letting it linger, because that voice inside of you will never let up. It's going to keep eating at you. It's going to keep gnawing. And you don't want to go to the grave having that woulda, coulda, shoulda, or what if, mentality. You want to get everything that you can out now. So I know while I'm here on this earth, I'm going to do whatever I can to pour into you as much as I have in me, as much as I'm allowed to. I'm going to make sure that you get the knowledge just as well as I have it, and we're going to be learning together. I'm going to be bringing on guests that I admire. First, they're going to be local, but then as the show grows, the guests will be more, spread out and broader on different levels. We're going to be talking to some people that are all the way to the most known, and even some unknown. So from all different varieties of people with different backgrounds, but they all are business moguls, or they all can help you add to your journey on becoming a mogul. So you will hear from people like some real estate people. You're going to be hearing from some entertainment people. You're going to be hearing from your everyday entrepreneur that you might see down the street. Like, how did they get started? What made them want to become an entrepreneur? Like, those are some of the things that I want to know, because just hearing their story is just going to encourage me a little bit more. How do they keep they budget on track? I need to know those type of things. I need a CPA. Man, managing these books ain't the best thing. It's not what I want to do. So, connecting with CPAs, I want to bring a CPA on, somebody who had helped me with my books and keeping me in line so I can actually start to see the growth on paper so it can actually make sense. Another entrepreneurship tip: when you have a thought, write it down, because only then will it start to manifest itself, and not with all that hocus pocus. When I say manifest, I just really mean just a thought becoming real. You have to write it down. Once you write it down on paper, it becomes real. Because I remember I had the thought. Then one night I sat down and started writing some show notes. Now I'm talking on a microphone, talking to you, and it's about something that is definitely needed in our day. So this was this off the top, off the dome. Most of the shows will be like this unless it's a very produced show, in which we do here at Suite 704. I really enjoy this time. This is going to be a great platform, not only for myself as an outlet, but for you to get your questions answered, to also spark your interest, to learn some things. Because one thing about generational wealth that we all need to know is it has to start with somebody. Somebody got to do it. We can't be sitting around waiting for to hit the lottery. It just might not happen. You can't wait to hit a lick in order to get some money. It's just not going to happen. It ain't gonna happen like the way you think. So it's very hard being an entrepreneur, but is at the same time, it's so rewarding. Okay, it's so rewarding. So you just got to stick with it. Stick with it. Keep smiling. So like I say, when it get hard, just keep smiling. Just knowing you're doing it for a bigger purpose. So like I said, first episode, we're going to have plenty of more to come. Wherever you see this at, whether you see it on YouTube, whether you see it or hear it on Spotify or wherever else it's going to be, I don't know yet. Just comment, make a comment. How do you like it? What are some topics that you want to see? Definitely reach out to me on Instagram, Facebook. Just find me, follow The Sweet 704 on Instagram. I'd appreciate that. If you want to come in and build a podcast or need a commercial shot for your brand, want to build your brand, anything that you actually want to do, whether it's a photo shoot, all the way down to recording a record, to broadcasting it to millions of people. If you got that following, we don't have that type of distribution yet, but we'll get to it. So that's all. The next episode, I'm gonna have a guest. I don't know who it's gonna be, but I think I do. And I'm gonna record the next episode very soon. Like I said, if I ever helped you in any type of way, please send me a message. Let me know how I have helped you. I might even want to bring you on the show, have you come on in and talk about a little bit how I helped you, through the phone, of course, So that was it. Making a Mogul. I'm Bennie Smith Jr. That's Bennie. Not with a Y. I hate it like that. Bennie Smith Jr. Follow me everywhere. Everywhere you can find me, just type it in Google. And that's that. Peace and blessings. Love you all. And I'll see you, or you will hear me. I'll see you again, or you'll see me again on episode 2 of the Making A Mogul podcast. God bless.